was at Toys R Us, and I didn't really have to work that summer. I was only like, I mean, like 15, I guess.
Mm,
But they came out with those Jordan 14s.
okay.
Those were the last pair he wore when he was playing.
Yeah.
And but I used to follow Vibe magazine like a mother. I used to love Vibe magazine.
Who
And
didn't?
at facts. And so in Vibe, they showed these two. And see, back then you didn't have to wait in line for Jordans. There was no such. You could just walk in the store, give me those. You had to do it in a timely fashion though. Like if you didn't get those shoes in the first month, you probably weren't gonna get them.
Yeah.
But I had it clocked. They were coming out at the end of July. I just need to save up this money, right? But in the
Mm,
Vibe magazine, now the shoes came in white and they came in black on black with red trim. The Vibe magazine showed they had two special edition pair. One pair was red, and where the
uh,
Jumpman was, it had a Ferrari logo. The
okay.
pair I had to get were blue and they were suede. I
Uh,
said, I said, yeah, I need those. I need those. Yeah. So yeah, I worked at Toys R Us that summer, and my plan was to get them shoes and to get attitude.
one out of two ain't bad.
Hey, do you remember the fact that attitude got pushed back so many times?
It did, and it was still trash.
Go figure. Go figure. You know what? Jot that down. We're gonna have to do a show on wrestling video games. Since we're expanding the brand to now we're doing wrestling. Since we're expanding the brand, yo, and that red box over there in the corner says we are live and have been for like a minute and a half. But I don't like to look like I just hit the button to go live. No, I always ease into my live with a story or just some random talk or whatever. Y'all get a little backstage talk. None of the good stuff though. Y'all missed the stuff that we was talking about before that. And guess who ain't gonna hear about it? Yo ass. But it is Friday night. 8:10, and we are here at the two-time ATL's hottest DJ, the God DJ Agony, also known as Dr. Dope. Well, my motto is simple: on the building for the soon-to-be award-winning Dope Show. Because I already got one for online radio. Who say I can't add another one? Trophy case gets heavy, we just buy another one. So tonight, you know what I'm saying? As y'all look at the title, it says Real Wrestling Talk. And this gentleman to my left, who needs no introduction, but he gonna introduce himself anyway.
You know
Is
me, it's your boy Jones, aka the real J Scott, also known as Corey's Heavenly Cake. So if you need a good pound cake, especially for Valentine's Day, fellas, make sure you hit your boy up on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Corey's Heavenly Cakes.
absolutely, and I seen previews and samples of the work. Yo, heart shaped cakes. I ain't never even like go ahead and get your girl one because you kind of came up short Christmas. Now's your makeup time, G. Go ahead and get your girl one of these goddamn these red heart shaped cakes and maybe she'll give you a hug and some love, and then y'all go in the room and go make a Scorpio. Yes, indeed. Mm. And like I said, I am DJ Agony. Before we jump into the meeting, the topic of the night. Big shouts out to everybody that came through to the quick 30 last night. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
It was some house cleaning because every now and again stuff come up on your porch. And when stuff come on your porch, you gotta sweep your porch off. You gotta make sure them critters don't get in your house. You know what I'm saying? Once you
I'm
cause
saying,
cause once you get critters in your house, they like bad house guests and relatives you don't like. It's hard getting rid of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, God forbid the world comes to an end. Ain't nothing gonna survive but roaches. And probably niggas. You know what I'm saying? Niggas and roaches. That's all you gonna have
all
left,
day,
G.
all day, every day.
Niggas and roaches, man. So I had to make sure neither of the above got in my house. So last night was just a little bit of housekeeping. We'll get back to having fun like how we always do. Back to having
Always.
fun. We always have fun on the dope show, man. And special announcement. This is the last week of Facebook restrictions. So guess what? Come next week, the
Man,
Facebook will be back up and running, people. Yes, indeed. So yo, I will be all over the place starting back next week. So hey, I just want y'all to have your head and ass in gear because yo, we finna flood y'all with dope. It's gonna look like 1986 all over again. So up above you at the title, it says real wrestling talk. Because like I said, as nerds, here's the thing when you look at the word nerd. It's just somebody who's just into a little bit of everything. It's not one of those things you could really define. You know what I'm saying? I know most people think Revenge of the Nerds, weird glasses, socially awkward. Yeah, that's an extreme case. We don't do that shit over here. Not
Nah,
here at the Dope Show. Nah,
nah.
nah. And so, you know what I'm saying? We just really kick good shit and be into a little bit of everything, including wrestling. Now, I know for a fact my earliest memories of wrestling came about, I want to say 1988, No Holds Barred.
Woo.
Like, right, No Holds Barred, man. And it was like, yo, I gotta watch this. Here's what's crazy. Growing up in the South, we didn't get a lot of exposure to WWF because WCW was based right here in Atlanta. So we didn't get
Facts.
exposure to WWF like that. So you'd have to wait till like Saturday nights because there was no Raw at the time. We're talking about no, there's no
Mhm.
Raw, there's no SmackDown. The Rock's probably in middle school. Like none of this shit's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what we had to do was wait till the weekend, and what they used to do was just tape their house shows. And so they would just run them on Saturdays. And then do you remember it started off as All American Wrestling, used to come on Monday nights. Then it switched over to primetime wrestling. And really what it was Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon in the studio watching matches from a house show from that week before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's funny when you mentioned WCW. When I was a little kid, my mom used to take me to the live events down at the Omni downtown. Shout out to the old Atlanta. Man, I miss the old Atlanta.
I miss the
And
old Atlanta.
she used to take me and my cousin, who's a girl, and we used to just go down there and just lose our minds, come back with no voice, especially my mom. We be screaming, hollering, just having a good time.
Right. Man, one of my earliest memories as far as going to go see it live, I want to go see Thunder Cage. This is I'll say about 92.
Mm.
And the what one of the things that stood out to me was Two Cold Scorpio wrestled that night. And it was the first time I had ever seen a 450.
Wow.
Lost my mind.
You know what? He probably was the first time I saw 450 as well.
Right. When you talking pre-luchadors, the luchadors were still in Mexico at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. He was
So
doing stuff I had never seen before.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then it got worse. See, one of the things a lot of people don't remember is Tuco Scorpio went to ECW before the Flash Funk gimmick. He left
Mm.
WCW. He had a trip at ECW. He had a move to where he would do a backflip, but landed in a leg drop.
Wow.
Think about it like this. It's pretty much the amount of flips he did forward, he did them
Mhm.
backwards
Okay.
into a leg drop. Tuco
Okay.
was he was ill. Like that was a very slept on wrestler. Matter of fact, that's a quick 30 idea. Um, yeah, black wrestlers. We getting close enough to February. Pretty much all the quick 30s in February gonna be blackety, blickety, black as
Oh
hell,
yeah.
right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Top black guy to ever be a black guy. My dad.
Mm.
So, in this real wrestling talk, of course, because once you get that good version of StreamYard, you get the cool shit like putting videos up. So we've often sat around, and y'all know DJ Agony. Like I said, being a big fan of Letterman, I'm all about making lists. So I went online and I found a couple of lists. And we're talking about factions. Now, I am a huge fan of tag team wrestling. I would rather watch tag team than singles any day because it's just the more guys, the more mayhem. You see what I'm saying?
True.
So with factions, that means it's like 8 guys and a lot of mayhem. Like this is it's almost like gang wars at this point. So we got 3 lists that we're gonna go through and critique, commentate, what have you. We're gonna start off with the most underrated factions in wrestling history. Underrated. Now, those were the ones that had some guys, could have been good with the right push, but whether it be an injury or, what I'm saying, something of that sort, they just never made it. Now, before we jump into the list, Jay Scott,
What's up?
prediction. What is going to be the number one underrated faction? Mind you, neither one of us has watched these videos. I hadn't even watched them. I wanted to be surprised today myself.
Underrated factions. Number one. You know what? I might just go a little out in left field, but for me, would have to be the Radicals.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think they were highly underrated before they just split them and had them go their separate ways.
That's a good one. God,
Mm.
dog. All right, damn. Mine ain't even that good. Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
um, I wow. Yeah. Well, now that the real Jay Scott and fucked it up for everybody. Let's just go to the list. I don't know because mine was gonna be the Brood. I just don't think, as a whole, the Brood got the push that they deserved.
Yeah.
But damn, the Radicals were bad underrated. When you had four guys, all four have been former champions in one lane or another,
Mm.
and you got to think those four guys, all four were technicians, high fly. Like you had everything you needed in that group:
Mm-hmm.
high flyers, technicians, mat wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
submission specialists. Like shit, I want to say all four of them had submission moves.
Yeah, they did. They
Damn, that's
did.
crazy. So yeah, we gonna see if either one of our predictions makes the top of this list. Cause hell, I'm geeked to see it now. So yeah, top 10 most underrated factions, y'all. Let's goddamn jump into this list right quick.
The 10 most underrated factions in wrestling history. Join us. Number 10, the Legion of Doom. When you hear the Legion of Doom, you'll think of Hawk and Animal, and possibly Paul Ellering, but probably not Rocco or Heidenreich. But at one point, the Legion of Doom was more than just the Road Warriors.
I remember this.
Early in the war.
This the NWA days here.
Georgia Championship Wrestling. Okay,
Yes,
this I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember because they were the Road Warriors as part of this faction. Let's go
Warriors
ahead.
Georgia Championship Wrestling run, they formed the short-lived Legion of Doom, a supergroup spearheaded by Ellering that included Hawk, Animal, The Spoiler, King Kong Bundy, Buzz Sawyer, The Iron Sheik, Matt Bourne, Arn Anderson, and Jake Roberts. On paper, that is just incredible. Road Warriors and Jake alone would make for a formidable group, but you throw in all the others and it's nigh on unbeatable. A group that would dominate any promotion it was a part of. But for its impressive roster, the Legion of Doom didn't last very long, and all the members listed were involved at different times. Plus, there was the little problem of Vince McMahon whipping out the territories and cherry-picking all the best talents, including some members of the LOD. Ellering and the Road Warriors were over as Rover anyway, and they realised that they didn't need a stable behind them. They also realised the name Legion of Doom was cool, so they just kept it. Who wouldn't? Number 9, the LWO.
Oh, the LWO.
Oh man.
Oh, the Juan Deere tractors.
Bruh.
LWO was lit though.
Man, you know what? During this whole time frame, it just got to a point where there was entirely too many factions.
Yeah, it did get heavy. It did get faction heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what they got with the LWO. They was right. They was on tractors though.
Yeah.
I mean, and God forbid, you know, had this been nowadays, they'd have canceled the shit out of this. Mexican guys riding tractors to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank God for the 90s. No cancel culture.
We could easily make a top 10 video on the ways the NWO changed the wrestling business, and we would certainly end up talking about the parody groups and homages that sprung from their dominance. ECW had the Blue World Order, New Japan has Bullet Club, even DX to an extent was a response to the NWO. But in WCW itself, there was another group that...
I'm gonna be honest. Once they started with that logo, it was downhill.
Yeah.
That logo symbolizes the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Formed in the NWO's wake, the Latino World Order. The LWO wasn't just a clever t-shirt designed to further inflate Eric Bischoff's bank accounts, it gave the always incredible Eddie Guerrero something to get his teeth stuck into, with a roster including Juventud Guerrera, Psychosis, La Parka, and let's not forget Bret Hart's most feared foe, El Dandy. Freddie's leadership, the LWO soon dominated WCW's cruiserweight division as they battled Rey Mysterio Jr., practically the sole Latino wrestler not to be part of the group, aside from Chavo Guerrero, who was at that point besotted with a wooden horse. WCW was just great, wasn't it?
Man.
God damn it, Vince Russo. You son of a bitch, you.
While at the time it was seen as a bit of fun and nothing too serious, LWO further showed exactly what Eddie Guerrero was capable of, helped further build Rey Mysterio as the ultimate babyface, and was a precursor to the also underrated Filthy Animals.
Not the Filthy Animals.
The Filthy Animals.
I hope they're not. I hope they're not on this list. I hope they're not on here.
They probably will be.
Number 8, Right to Censor.
But I hated this group with a passion.
The Good Father. Don't forget the Good Father. Wait a minute. Didn't Val Venus join Right to Censor?
He did.
Son of a bitch.
That annoying theme, those white shirts, Stephen...
Yep. There he is right there. Val Venus. Bull Buchanan.
Stephen Richards.
And the Good Father. No, it's crazy. They said Stephen Richards is like Mensa genius level.
I heard that.
Like the dude, like they said he was like a computer engineer before he got into wrestling. And I was like, dude, you was a computer engineer and you went to ECW to job and get thrown through tables? All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, perfect sense. That's what a Mensa genius would do. Go get their ass whooped instead of being a genius. Go figure.
Richard's little white socks. It was very, very easy to hate the Right to Censor as they ran around WWE opposing anything fun. You know, violence, swearing, boobs, everything that made the Attitude Era a massive hit. Even though the RTC was a thinly veiled dig at the Parents Television Council, a group that despised WWE and its influence on the youth of America, it was an effective lower mid-card group that gave Stevie Richards something to do other than wear Daisy Duke shorts and hang around with a blue meanie. Plus, they generated a whole lot of heat. As soon as their sirens blared out and Richards, Bull Buchanan, Val Venus, Ivory, and the Good Father came out to spout their rhetoric, they were completely drowned out by boos. It was a smart move to set up a group as anti-Attitude Era, even if seemingly their main purpose was to get the nymph-like Miss Kitty over. But still, in an era where the lower card has seemingly nothing to do, we look back at the Right to Censor and sigh that WWE just doesn't know what to do with seemingly everyone who isn't a main eventer. Number 7, King Booker's Court. All hail King Booker!
King Booker! Oh, man. I don't even remember the court. At that point, I didn't even care. It was the gimmick for me. The King Booker gimmick. The gimmick was ghetto gold.
Yeah, it was.
It's remarkable that not only did Booker T turn the cursed King of the Ring gimmick into gold, but he successfully reigned over SmackDown as king and champion at the same time. When you consider the reigns of King Barrett and King Sheamus, this becomes 100 times as impressive. While it was a ridiculous run, the crown gave Booker's character a much-needed shot in the arm, and his pomposity and pinky raising was genuinely great. But for all we fondly look back upon the reign of King Booker and Queen Sharmell, we often forget about his court. Accompanied by Sir William Regal and Sir Finlay and Little Bastard, the King's Court was...
Yo, I do not remember this.
I vaguely remember this because it was short-lived.
I don't remember the court. I remember the whole King Booker era, but this one got away from me.
A compact unit, but a unit full of experience and winners. Plus, throw in the fact that Booker, Finlay, and Regal are all legitimately as hard as nails, and this was a group you would not want to mess with. The King's Court were only around for 4 months and fell apart as quick as you can say, "Arise!" but still managed to hold the World Heavyweight title and the US title in this short amount of time. Number 6, the Stud Stable. While it sounds...
The who?
I have no recollection of this one.
Yeah, we both gonna learn something today then.
Sounds like a troupe of male strippers or a horse breeding business, the Stud Stable was a long-running heel group that spanned several federations and dozens of members. Headed up in all guises by either Ron or Robert Colonel Parker Fuller, the Stud Stable ran roughshod across Continental Championship Wrestling and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the Smoky Mountain crew including Cactus Jack and Sid. But
wow.
Didn't see that coming.
At all. Colonel Parker. Did you see how swole he was?
Yeah.
Okay, Colonel Parker was legit out here. I know now.
Arguably, the greatest incarnation of the group made their mark in mid-90s WCW. Clinging to the wrestling roots of the territories, Colonel Parker's fourth incarnation included at various times Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Terry Funk, Meng, Barry Windham, and Manabu Nakanishi, amongst others. A roster of absolute killers. The Stud Stable warred with Dusty and Dustin Rhodes and later Brian Pillman, but were largely overshadowed by other groups like the reformed Four Horsemen, who promptly yoinked Arn Anderson away, and the amazing /crap Dungeon of Doom, who pocketed Meng. Eventually it whittled down to Colonel Parker, Dick Slater, and Bunkhouse Buck, who feuded with Harlem.
Okay, now that I do remember.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Heat over the tag titles and the love of Sister Sherry. But the Stud Stable refuses to die, and as recently as 2018, Colonel Parker put together a new version in MLW with the Dirty Blondes and Jake Hager. Number 5.
Who? MLW?
I've heard of it, never seen it though. Revolution.
The Revolution. One of the final blows to WCW was when Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, and Dean Malenko jumped ship to WWE and formed the Radical.
Ooh, there you go.
That's a squad, man.
Motherfucker, what? That's a goddamn super group for your ass right there.
Man.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with that because they should have ran WCW.
Dude, you got the man of 1,000 holes, Perry Saturn, Guerrero, Benoit. Like, what else do you need?
Nigga. A rocket launcher. That's the only thing you don't have in this equation.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Revolution, see what they got going on. Why do I want to say the Revolution was after the Flock? It seems familiar. Like they had a bird making the R or something. I'm trying to draw something up, but it ain't coming.
But before then, Benoit, Malenko, and Saturn were allies in WCW, tearing it up with Shane.
Boom, there you go.
Okay.
They were the splinter group of the Flock. Well, that's where Saturn went. And there's Shane Douglas.
The franchise.
The franchise. I love it.
Douglas as the Revolution. The Revolution formed to cut the cancer out of WCW, mainly the established stars who clung onto their spots while Benoit and co barely moved up the ladder and were instant fan favourites. The four had long been friends since their days in ECW, so their chemistry on screen didn't feel forced. Before long, Vince Russo turned up in WCW and needed to shake everything up, and the Revolution morphed into an anti-government and anti-American group of anarchists, all stemming from them being tired of the politics rampant backstage. While it was kinda sorta cool, it just didn't feel right with the straight-laced Benoit and Malenko in there. But in the ring, they were an effective unit, with the generational talents of Benoit and Malenko, the always solid Saturn, and the slightly underrated Douglas all backing up their words in the ring. But soon, the actual backstage politics became too much, and the Radicals jumped ship, with Douglas allegedly keen to join them in WWE. Number 4, Camp Cornette.
Why do I feel like this is going to be old?
Bro.
I'm gonna be honest though, Jim Cornette is one of the minds of wrestling that he's when it comes to wrestling, he's a national treasure, dog.
Yeah.
This dude started off 15 years old as a cameraman going through the territories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him. A lot of people hate him.
Because he say that stuff that we ain't supposed to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kevin Nash was at his peak and he was just like, what, he gonna go out there Monday night, cut a decent promo and give us the same 6 moves?
Yeah.
And then as a kid, I sat there and watched. Kevin Nash really only got about 6 moves. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
The foul-mouthed tirades and traditionalist views of Jim stuck in his ways Cornette keeps his name relevant, it often overshadows his amazing work as a manager. Most notably the mouthpiece for the Midnight Express,
There you go. We just had this conversation, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna be honest. They should be on that third list.
Yeah.
In theory.
Arguably, Cornette's next best run was as the head of the underrated Camp Cornette in WWE. Originally coming in as an advocate to WWE champion Yokozuna, Cornette soon amassed a small yet fearsome roster in his bid to sit atop WWE. And they were instantly successful as the team of Yoko and Owen Hart won the tag titles from the Smoking Guns in their first match together, and soon welcomed British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith into the fold as Vince probably yelled something about beef and mass on commentary. Cornette soon saw an opportunity to get Ultimate Beef Man Vader in the mix, and the crew promptly turfed out Yokozuna before they set about destroying Shawn Michaels and pals. Then, as soon as Camp Cornette started gaining momentum, they split, with 2 tag team championship runs to their name. So they may not have had as glittering a run as some of the other crews on this list, but for the personnel involved alone, they are more than worthy of their spot. Number 3,
That faction was kind of raggedy.
Yeah.
They just stuck some up. They was like, hey, Owen and Bulldog, y'all gonna team up with Yokozuna and Vader. What? None of this shit goes together.
None of it.
$1 million corporation. Long before Vince and Shane coerced every baddie ever to do their bidding in a big war against Steve Austin, Ted DiBiase had his own corporation in WWE. Having retired from in-ring competition in 1993, Ted was still a valuable, credible
Vince! Fucking Vincent! Which one, you know what bothers me about this dude?
Was that
he was actually a lower mid-carder. Once him and DiBiase split, he was like a lower mid-carder.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the WCW as Vincent and in the NWO, and it's straight job. All he used to do was just show up to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
But the dude was actually a decent in-ring talent.
Shockingly.
Right.
Asset to the company and made the transition to manager in 1994, with his silver tongue able to elicit heat wherever he went. Starting off with IRS, Bam Bam Bigelow, and the aging Nikolai Volkov, the corporation soon expanded and upgraded.
Not Kama.
Bro.
I think he was still kamikaze at this point.
Claiming to have The Undertaker as part of their crew. Spoiler, it was Brian Lee in a big hat. Oh, SummerSlam 94, you weird bastard.
Yeah, I remember that. He had the $1 million Undertaker.
Dude, is that Tatanka back there?
That is Tatanka. Because what ended up happening, you remember Tatanka's music where it had the Indian yell war cry or whatever?
Uh-huh.
The music would get cut because they would play $1 Million Man music right behind it.
Wow.
Yeah. Cancel culture would have had a field day with that.
Man, what?
God bless the 90s.
Corporation soon corrupted Tatanka and moved into the main event scene, feuding with the likes of Diesel, Taker, Lex Luger, and Razor Ramon. DiBiase still wasn't satisfied and soon recruited softball fanatic and raging lunatic Psycho Sid, and did the unthinkable when he also corrupted the 1-2-3 Kid.
Not Sean Waltman.
Man.
Nah.
And got him to turn on Razor Ramon. In 1996, WWE's newest recruit also joined up with the corporation, the ringmaster Steve Austin. But like every other group on this list, the corporation soon fell to pieces, and despite its impressive lineup, never registered any championship reigns. Number 2, the Triple Threat.
Oh, the Triple Threat. I love this shit. Oh, this is when I got into ECW too.
ECW had its fair share of pioneering groups like the Dudleys and Raven's Nest, but the most dominant of all its factions was the Triple Threat. Spearheaded by the franchise Shane Douglas, the Triple Threat put everyone in ECW on notice and made sure the ECW titles stayed around Douglas's waist. ECW revolved around regular swear jar contributor Douglas, and all incarnations of the Triple Threat are incredibly impressive. There was the first run of Douglas, Chris Benoit, and Dean Malenko, a group that held all the gold despite only being together for a handful of months. Douglas then went to WWE for 2 minutes and made enemies of everyone, then returned to reform the Triple
of everyone.
Wow.
Of everyone. That was real.
threat with Chris Candido and Brian Lee. Lee was soon scrubbed and the triple threat went supernova as Bam Bam Bigelow joined. The three, along with associates Francine and Rick Rude, ran roughshod over ECW and held every title on offer. Infighting and double-crossing threatened to kill them off, but they stayed united to war with Taz. This feud was dynamite and propelled the human suplex machine to the top of the ECW card, while producing some of ECW's most enduring moments, like Taz and Bam Bam's ring-busting fight in New...
Yes, indeed. And they did that spot twice.
Wow.
You remember they went through the ring the first time, the second time they went through the stage.
Yeah.
New Jersey. Number 1, The Dangerous Alliance.
You know what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised this is number 1.
Yeah, I'm okay with this.
I am okay with this number 1. See, if we notice something, IGN didn't make this list.
Facts.
Or that other channel that we not gonna name them either. They definitely didn't make this list.
Woo.
Right.
Long before he was the aggressive, blood and guts obsessed ECW head honcho or the smarmy advocate for Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman was Paul E. Dangerously, smug, arrogant yuppie and leader of the Dangerous Alliance. One of the most dominant forces in early WCW, the Dangerous Alliance had arguably one of the strongest rosters in wrestling history. Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko, Steve Austin, with Medusa and Michael Hayes acting as counsel. I mean, bloody hell, every single member went on to be a WWE Hall of Famer, aside from Heyman and Bobby Eaton, but those honors are long overdue and hopefully inevitable. Despite some ropey booking in WCW, the Dangerous Alliance went on to have notable feuds with Sting, Ricky Steamboat, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and Nikita Koloff, with the two groups' War Games match in 1992 easily the best the stipulation has ever produced.
Whoa, wait, what? And I own the War Games disc.
I still need to get that in my collection.
I own it. But
when Heyman eventually jumped ship from WCW and got involved with Eastern Championship Wrestling, he soon formed a new version of the Alliance which featured the likes of Jimmy Snuka and Shane Douglas. Despite not reaching the heights they should have reached, the Dangerous Alliance was one of the most impressive and underrated groups in history.
Interesting.
Yeah. And see, now I'm gonna absolutely have to go back and watch. What was it, War Games 92? Because they have every War Games match on there. Everyone that ever happened. They go all the way back to the Horsemen and LOD.
Okay.
When what's the name got his shoulder messed up? What was his name? JJ Dillon. Animal was bench pressing him on the. He pressing him on top of the cage, and then when he dropped him, tore his shoulder up. He showed it where his shoulder never healed. It's like a big ass knot right there.
Wow.
Shoulder never, you know, he ain't going no down. He ain't had no insurance for real. Man, so that list right there, that was a solid list.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like the Radicals actually should have been on the list. They were mentioned, but they were very underrated faction. But I remember the Revolution. I'll tell you another one. We're going back to those later days of WCW. Natural Born Thrillers.
I remember them.
Stasiak, Jindrak, O'Hara, and there's a couple of other guys. I can't remember the leader name, but we thought the leader was just a scrub, but he could actually wrestle.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought he was just their manager and the mouthpiece, but no, the dude could actually move. I want to say his name was like Mike Sanders or something like that, but don't quote me on that one. All right, so next list. We got the underrated out the way. Now we're finna jump into the worst. So we talked about a couple of these. Who would be the number one on the worst list?
Well, I can't even remember the stable's name, but it consisted of Wade Barrett, Rusev, Sheamus, and Del Rio. That got to be the worst one for me.
Oh, was that the League of Nations?
Yeah, them.
I actually like that one. I was gonna go back a little bit. I was gonna say the oddities with Insane Clown Posse, Kurgan, the fat. What was his name? Gold. His name was like Goldo or something. He used to carry around the Cartman doll. Luna Vachon. Like that stable was just, it was nuts. It's like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't even do drugs.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead and jump into that one.
Worst WWE.
Let's see, it was ready to go. Now, see, this might be the catch-22. Last one was just wrestling. This one is specifically WWE. So we're gonna see how this play out.
Stables. Join us. Or don't in these cases. Number 10, the League of Nations.
Goddamn, you called it.
They should have been number one, but
goddamn, you called it first. Hey, this like that time. Yo, man, I need to get me a copy of 2K10. It's right there. Telling you, you was on one that day. We should have stopped and played the lottery that day. You was too hot that day.
Man, what you say?
Right now, we would be doing this from a jumbotron in the studio,
Thanks.
and I would just buy my followers.
On paper, a faction featuring Sheamus, Rusev, Wade Barrett, and Alberto Del Rio.
First of all, I'd like to say you and What Culture are some haters. All right, now we're going to keep going.
Isn't half bad. It's just a quarter bad, with Del Rio being that quarter. The League of Nations took 4 of WWE's dependable internationals and banded them together to spread anti-American sentiment, a simple concept I'm sure we can all get behind. So just what happens when an Englishman, an Irishman, a Bulgarian, and a Mexican walk into a wrestling ring together?
That just screamed racist, but I'm going to keep going.
Cancel
whole lot of nothing.
Cancel culture.
Sadly, as the League of Nations seemed to exist for one primary reason, which was to assist in Operation Get Roman Reigns Over. Amazingly,
I'm so done.
Bruh.
I'm so done.
Vince's whole purpose, his sole purpose, was to get Roman over by any means necessary.
I'm so done. Let's keep moving.
Grouping them together managed to collectively lower the value of everyone involved, as the League of Nations had no clear purpose, no credibility, and the 4 men in the group were unhappy with their creative direction, or lack thereof. Sheamus, Barrett, Rusev, and Del Rio have all since been outspoken about their frustration and disappointment with their 6-month alliance, and as far as their WWE runs are concerned anyway, only the Celtic Warrior ever truly recovered from it. Number 9, the Cabinet. Saddled with the stigma of being a career mostly babyface mid-carder, JBL needed all the help he could get to establish himself as a top-line heel when he was thrust into the position in 2004. The shocking angles, heated promos, and feud and subsequent WWE title victory over Eddie Guerrero certainly helped legitimize him, and I'm sure WWE probably thought that making him the leader of his own stable would only enhance his reputation further. And so, President JBL assembled his cabinet, adding Chief of Staff Orlando Jordan, Co-Secretaries of Defense the Basham brothers, and image consultant Amy Weber. The cabinet acted as warm bodies to be beaten up by the babyfaces trying to get their hands on the champ, but OJ, Doug, Danny, and Amy weren't exactly over with the audience, and their matches and segments routinely fell really flat. They accomplished next to nothing before gradually disbanding, with Amy quitting IRL after just a few months on the road, and the Bashams kayfabe handing in their notice not too long after. By that point, JBL had lost the strap, and so it was basically just him and Orlando, with fixer Jillian Hall temporarily added to the mix before the whole thing was scrapped altogether. Number 8, the Mean Street.
I'm gonna be honest, the cabinet sucked.
Man, the Bashams, did anybody really care?
It was just like the Bashams were just that idea that just never quite got over.
Yes. This another one, man.
Mean Street Posse from the mean streets of Greenwich, Connecticut.
Okay.
God damn.
Posse. I will confess that the idea of a group of Shane McMahon's buddies from the mean streets of Greenwich, Connecticut wrestling in sweater vests and slacks was a funny one. To start with anyway. 2/3 of the so-called Mean Street Posse, Pete Gass and Rodney, were legitimate buddies with the boss's son, while the other member, Joey Abs, was a former enhancement talent and the only one with any actual in-ring experience.
Wow.
Oh God, are you serious?
Wow.
So these were literally just Shane's friends and a wrestler. Boy, I'm through playing with y'all.
The Posse originally had a couple of other members, Willie Green and Billy P.
Yeah, I remember the Mean Street Posse. Like when they first came out, it was like 6 of them.
Oh, yo, you know who else I know should be on here? They probably will be later on.
Spirit Squad.
You know it. That's exactly where I was going with that.
I'm gonna be honest though, Kenny Dykstra, underrated talent.
Yeah.
But other than that, nah, no Spirit Squad. They'll probably be on this list later.
Mm-hmm.
Before they were whittled down to a 3. Mostly used in backstage segments or to run interference for Shane, the Posse wrestled the occasional mostly awful match, one of which against Stooges Patterson and Briscoe is inexplicable.
The damn Stooges. We have our own set of Stooges. Carry on.
Inexplicably one of the most viewed matches in the history of Raw. The Posse's collective lack of training meant that their matches...
Yo, I remember that they came out to Hulk Hogan's Real America and had SWAT gear on. Patterson and Briscoe had on SWAT gear. And they was in there listening to Hulk Hogan Real America. They hulking up and shit.
I remember that.
I remember this episode. God damn it.
Were mostly rotten, and they didn't really have much reason for being once they split from McMahon, mostly being used as punching bags or hardcore title fodder. WWE evidently didn't see much of a future for them since they were shipped off to Developmental League Memphis Championship Wrestling in late 2000, never to return. Number 7, the Mexicools. In theory, an invading cruiser.
We're not Mexicans, we're Mexicools.
Oh man, this is bad.
It was like the LWO done wrong.
Right.
Because you got to think, we're looking at this, all these guys were like insane talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, shit, super crazy. His feud with Tajiri and ECW was legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Psychosis, you know, I mean, shit, WCW goes without saying. Juventud resume speaks for itself.
The Juice. Hoobie Juice.
Juice.
Weight group consisting of Juventud Guerrera, Super Crazy, and Psychosis should have been a surefire winner. After all, the 3 luchadors were all ultra talented, and their addition to the SmackDown roster in 2005 was a shot in the arm to a division that was thin on the ground and creatively neglected. However, WWE's decision to have the Mexicools ride to the ring on lawnmowers raised some eyebrows due
the overt, covert racism.
Boy, Vince was on some stuff back then. Boy.
Just like whatever. Like, you didn't give a fuck. I mean, cancel culture, man.
Okay.
Cancel culture. That's all I can say. I mean, God bless the 90s and the early 2000s.
Okay.
But
what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
Due to it being, you know, a massive racist stereotype and deeply offensive to a sizable portion of the show's audience. The Mexicools claimed that they...
You think?
Bruh.
They were no longer going to do the manual labor that Hispanics were expected to do for gringos and began their WWE careers by interfering in matches by attacking other wrestlers. Their run got off to a pretty disastrous start when Juventud smashed in Paul London's face with a botched 450 splash, leading to Vince McMahon outlawing the move and other high-risk maneuvers like the shooting star press. Their matches were also unfortunately underwhelming, and though Guerrero bagged the Cruiserweight title, he alienated himself from the locker room with his characteristically annoying and erratic backstage behavior. Hoovy soon lost the title and was released just 6 months after the Mexicools' debut, after which Crazy and Psychosis became a more palatable tag team. I'm
gonna be honest with you though, Vince just didn't know what to do with luchadors.
He still don't. Even with the cruiserweights.
If you're under 225, under 230, Vince has no clue what to do with your character. If you're not, you know, over 6 feet tall, bulging muscles out your neck and your chest, he has no idea what to do. Like, and it sucks too because to release Juventud, I wouldn't have released none of them dudes. We'd have just found y'all another gimmick. We'd have had creative working overtime that day.
Man.
6, the Truth Commission.
Oh shit, I remember him.
If I was asked to create the perfect stable, it would almost definitely include Mantar, Bull Buchanan, any one member of the Oddities, and...
There they go.
Oh no.
Son of a bitch.
Be managed by Don Callis. So why was the Truth Commission so resounding?
There's Kurgan.
Wow,
Rubbish then. Starting life in the Memphis-based USWA territory, the Truth Commission was first managed by an actor Bret Hart had met in South Africa, though he was quickly replaced by the Jackal when the group of militias made its way to WWE TV. Part of 1997's Gang Wars storyline, their presence meant endless matches with the Nation of Domination, DOA, and Los Boricuas, but
yes, sir. What a time to be alive.
Man, okay.
Come on now.
the Truth Commission didn't have a compelling mission statement, nor the wrestling skill to make up for poor creative. Tank left the stable early on, leaving the Interrogator, Recon, and Sniper to do the heavy lifting. The focus was clearly on making Kurgan a monster heel, and the two were basically bump dummies in green t-shirts and red hats. The matches
Bump dummies in green t-shirts and red hats. Wow. Damn.
were boring, the storylines were practically non-existent, and nobody was upset or cared or even noticed when the Truth Commission went away. Number 5, the social outcasts. Sometimes stables are simply thrown together to give hard-working but directionless members of the roster something to do.
That is very true. That is very true. If you notice with a lot of the theme of these, it's just like, yo, you as a solo wrestler ain't making it. We got to throw you together with some guys.
But you know what? Like, okay, even with this stable here, the Brawling Brutes, like, dude, Pete Dunne on his own was better than Reg Holland. He was killing it in NXT and NXT UK. That's just Vince not knowing what to do with those call-ups, man.
It's like, hey, put them together.
Yeah. And it's working.
Yeah, it's doing something.
On occasion, this can work out great and lead to career revivals. The Social Outcasts was not one of these occasions.
Oh, no.
On the first Raw of 2016, Heath Slater introduced his newest stable since the dissolution of three-man band.
See this guy right here? He's a champion. He's a champion right here.
Man.
Big shouts out to Big Country 50. I bet you he ain't even seeing his boy Jinder Mahal gets mentioned. 3-man band, 3MB in the building.
Boy, Drew McIntyre.
Damn it.
Revealing a coalition with Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, and Adam Rose. Every member was a dependable lower mid-card guy that had
Lower mid card, I'd say lower card.
But you know the sad part about it, even with him being Kurt Hennig's son, like Axel Hawk, man, that dude.
Curtis Axel, like, he landed flat and stayed that way. You're a third generation from two greats now, and you landed flat. They couldn't do nothing to inflate your career.
Dude, and even when you put Paul Heyman with him, it still did nothing for him.
If Paul can't make you, it's just a done deal at that point. Just let that shit go. Go be a dentist or seamstress or something. Right.
experienced stop and start pushes and had come together to collectively reach for that elusive brass ring. Spoiler, they didn't reach it, but they did have t-shirts with their group name and a hashtag on it, so that's something. The Social Outcasts did much of nothing, starting as heels before turning babyface and gradually falling apart, starting with Rose's suspension and inevitable release. The group were never going to be world beaters, of course, but their 7-month existence yielded few highlights and failed to significantly elevate anyone involved. Just ask that Tough Enough idiot. Actually, I take it back. At least we will always have their epic wrap-off with Flow Rider. That shiznit was so fire, I was almost sizzic all over my dizzle. Number 4, Pretty Mean Sister.
Not PMS. They had your boy Stasiak. He was meat.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was somebody else in. I think it was like another guy. I want to say it was another guy in it.
If you thought the MSP were bad, wait until we dive into PMS, another of WWE's stable misfires circa 99. PMS stood for Pretty Mean Sisters, a group of scorned women who targeted the roster's menfolk. Of course, it was all actually an allusion to premenstrual stress, because the man behind the concept, Vince Russo, is nothing if...
Of course.
Fucking hate this motherfucker, I swear.
He ruined wrestling.
Period.
not a feminist. Made up of Terry Runnels, Jacqueline, and in time Ryan Shamrock, the sisters were involved in some of the worst storylines of the Attitude Era during their brief existence, including Terry's faked miscarriage. There would have been worse to come in the form of a Shamrock brother-sister romance had Ken not refused shortly before Ryan was released.
What?
Ah.
Y'all niggas weird.
By that point, PMS had added the hapless Sean Meat Stasiak as the group's love slave, who in the storyline got pasted in his matches because he was so knackered after being forced to fulfill the needs of his horny masters. Eventually, Jacqueline got fed up with Terry wearing out and mistreating Meat, the tipping point arriving when Runnels forced Stasiak to kiss her foot following a loss to Edge on Sunday Night Heat, signaling the end of the group. A tale as old as time itself. Number 3, The Core. The Nexus was a great idea that started with...
Yeah, they were like the Nexus Part 2, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. That failed miserably.
Yeah, it hit the wall. It had a lot of talented guys, though. What the fuck?
Yeah.
well and led to some fantastic television, at least initially. Handled correctly, they could have become one of the greatest stables of all time, and their main members could have easily become main event level stars. Well, Nexus wasn't handled correctly and fizzled out after several months of irredeemable.
Nexus was very mishandled.
Well, then, you know, there's that guy there in the orange shirt that pretty much took care of Nexus.
Super Cena.
Booking. CM Punk took over the reins of the Black and Yellow group, kicking out Barrett, Slater, and Gabriel and forming the new Nexus, while the exiled members hooked up with former ECW champion Ezekiel Jackson to form the Core. That's spelled with 2 R's, by the way, so you know they mean business. I can see the sense in trying to give the 4 of them something to do, but the whole concept of the Core, if you can even call it a concept, felt like it was scribbled down on a fast food napkin and handed to Wade and the boys 5 minutes before their first promo together. Incredibly, the Core managed to snatch the Intercontinental and Tag Team titles, but if you want to know how successful they really were, check out their 90-second loss at WrestleMania 27. Number 2, The Union. The only union you're likely to ever see in a WWE locker room is the one that was made up of Mankind, Big Show, Ken Shamrock, and Test in May of 1999.
I do not remember this garbage.
This an ignorant stable.
Garbage.
The Union, or to give them their full title, the Union of People You Ought to Respect, Son, aka Up Yours, because it's...
I do remember this now. God damn it.
Vince Russo's world we're living in and everything is a forced pun, were a short-lived offshoot of the Corporation. The foursome abandoned the Corporation after Shane McMahon wrangled power away from his father and began to treat certain members badly. The Union was sort of aligned with other heavy hitters, including Mr. McMahon, Steve Austin, The Rock, and Commissioner Shawn Michaels, and battled the corporate ministry after the
Corporate ministry. We talking ghetto gold right there.
Yeah.
Yes. But be honest, that is my favorite Undertaker. The whole Undertaker persona. That's the one right there. That between the Ministry of Darkness / corporate ministry era.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just look for the T with the X going through it.
Yeah.
That's the one right there.
Undertaker's satanic outfit merged with Shane's crew. This all led to a Union versus Corporate Ministry 8-man elimination tag match at the ill-fated Over the Edge, which was won by Mankind. 8 days later, Mrs. Foley's baby boy was written off TV in order to get knee surgery. 1 week after that, Vince McMahon was revealed as the higher power, and with their leader on...
Worst swerve ever.
It's me, Austin. It was me all along.
Worst swerve ever. That wasn't even a good one. God damn it.
On the shelf and their enemy morphing into a confusing mess.
Invasion angle.
Another missed opportunity.
Oh my God. You talking about drop the ball. I like how the fact that this picture is actually Vince and Shane together.
Right.
Like, that shit is so fucking cold. And then they dropped the ball. Royally.
The Union turned in their 2x4s and went their separate ways. Number 1, Retribution.
Oh my God. So here's a little backstory about this. All right. During the pandemic era, what's his name? Mustafa Ali, he put together this group that just failed miserably. It was him, Mia Yim, what's the girl name? Mercedes Martinez, Mace, and Dominic Dijakovic. Bruh, this was a bad idea from the beginning because you made Mustafa Ali the leader of this group that nobody cared. Like the whole concept was just stupid, but you'll see.
The pandemic era was an unprecedented.
Damn, Jones, you might should have just did the review because he said the same thing you did. You know what? Cultaholic owe Jay Scott some money. Make that check payable to DJ Agony and Associates.
Time for WWE, one of the very few sports or entertainment enterprises that kept running throughout. The lack of a live crowd and absence of key personnel led to some, shall we say, interesting creative choices. Interesting, unfortunately, is not something that the Retribution stable can be accused of being. Like the Nexus before them, Retribution were dismayed at the WWE system and wanted to take it down from within, causing property damage and attacking people at random like a bunch of masked Asbos.
I think I remember this a little bit. I just remember didn't they destroy a ring?
Yeah, they were going around flicking the lights, turning them off, turning them on, back on, set a dumpster on fire. I'm like, we're supposed to be scared of you.
I think this was supposed to be like a play off the what's the name? What they call it? What was that? What's that movie? Where everybody they go on like a murder spree for a night.
Oh, The Purge.
Yeah, I think that's what this is supposed to be.
None of it felt right from the off, with the stable's stupid outfits and slapdash.
Oh, these people?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember them from the video game.
Names. Hold on, wasn't one of them called Slapdash? No, sorry, Slapjack, wasn't
Slapjack,
it?
yeah.
Much better. Anyway, as I was saying, their attire, monikers, motivations, it was all positively rotten. WWE and the members of Retribution, that's Ali, Mace, T-Bar, Reckoning, Retaliation, and our old pal Slapjack, thank you very much, ought to be thankful this sorry episode took place away from packed arenas, as I would have waged my entire Hasbro collection that it would have died a death in front of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still died a death, but at least it was only to the sound of Kevin Dunn's piped-in Thunderdome crowd noise. Stables, group. And these are the 10 best WWE.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on, damn it. I'll start playing before I get to talking. Shit. All right, we got to check in the chat, man, because we're gonna have folks hitting this and say, look at when wrestling goes wrong, more specifically when WWE goes wrong. This just can't be good. John Genemo, you knew it was coming.
Of course, that trash stable.
You knew it was coming. PMS, they took it back. Jacqueline was something else. I got my LF in the building. What you know about some damn wrestling, LF? Glad you in the building, though. Appreciate you coming through, man. And then it's adult supervision. Then we just get through talking about how nobody that's ever been in the locker room has anything bad to say about Farouk.
Then here's this guy.
Then here's this guy right here. That is Big Country 50, y'all. He is here. That's the problem child. He's in the building. So, best WWE stable. What is your prediction?
Well, you already know number one is going to be DX.
Facts. Yeah.
Number one is going to be DX. I'm curious to see what the rest of this list is going to look like, though.
Any honorable mentions that you throw on there?
If they don't put the Hurt Business on there, something is wrong. It was short-lived.
It's because it's black.
There's that. There's that.
It's because they black. They can't have a long-running, upstanding black stable. Bruh. But however, we know what's the name gonna be on there. God damn it, Xavier and them.
Oh yeah. You know the New Day gonna be on here.
New Day, of course they're gonna be.
Probably gonna be in the top 5.
You know what? I'll put $1 on that. New Day is gonna make top 5 on this list.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
In fucking same, man. Yo, appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. Everybody that's still watching with me. We about to jump into the top 10 best WWE stables. And like I said, we already know DX is gonna be number one, not because we watched it, it's because we lived it. We were there. The real J Scott, DJ Agony. We were there. We watched it. I had the shirt. I seen him live back in the day. I used to walk through high school, pretend like I'm gonna shake somebody's hand, go in your mouth, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what this list got for us. Oh shit, with my mouse. There we go. Boom.
Tables. Join us. Number 10, The Alliance. Before we begin, yes, the invasion was a wasted opportunity and was pretty damn pants overall, but when you look at the membership, size, and in-ring success of the Alliance, you have to really give them some credit. The problems that faced the Alliance were easy to identify, but impossible to overcome. The main stars of WCW, like Ric Flair, Goldberg, the NWO, and Scott Steiner, weren't financially viable due to their ridiculous ongoing Time Warner guaranteed contracts, and even if they were signed up, there was probably no way that Vince McMahon was going to make them look good. But still, 27 title reigns came the Alliance's way, and it's not surprising when you see who was involved. You had former world champions like Diamond Dallas Page, Mike Awesome, and Raven, future world champions like Rob Van Dam, Bubba Ray Dudley, and Christian, and future Hall of Famers like 5-time WCW champion Booker T, and a little-known wrestler called Stone Cold Steve Austin. On paper, that is perhaps the greatest assembled lineup of wrestlers ever, but then you have to remember that Sean Stasiak was also involved, as two were Chronic. Ugh.
Hey, we're not gonna hate on Chronic, goddammit. We not hating. That's what we ain't gonna goddamn do on the dope show is hate on Chronic.
I forgot all about them.
Hey, I was here for that shit. I liked Raph and Mortis, and then the whole conversion into Chronic with what was it, Brian Adams and Brian, other Brian?
Yeah, other Brian.
Yeah, shit. Crushing goddamn Raph, goddamn.
Number 9, the Nation of...
Number 9, Nation of Domination?
What did we say at the beginning?
It's a black thing. Gotcha.
Domination.
I would have thought just the fact that The Rock was involved would have got him knocked up to 6.
Man.
And then the Nation of Domination carried the whole gang warfare that whole gang warfare storyline they did back in 97. They carried it.
Yeah.
I digress. They black. I get it. Number 9.
Of course.
Originally part of WWE's crap gang wars of 1996, the Nation of Domination slinked away and became one of the most revered stables of all time. Originally wrestling's equivalent of a cross between the Nation of Islam and the Black Panthers, NOD was founded by Farouk to highlight injustices faced by people of color. They were militant and they took no crap, but truth be told, they were a little bloated. It was when Farouk trimmed the fat that the Nation truly took off. You had the smug D'Lo Brown, powerhouses Mark Henry and Kama Mustafa, and the jewel in the crown, Rocky Maivia. Fresh from his dire babyface run, Rocky was...
That goddamn babyface run. That was death incarnate.
Rocky Maivia. Wow.
Goddamn. Rocky sucks. How does a face get booed out consistently? He should be thanking Farouk for his career. Farouk saved your life, boy.
Man.
Ticked off, cocky, arrogant, and quickly became a huge star. With him and Farouk jockeying for position as leader while absolutely battering their foes like Ken Shamrock and DX, the Nation became must-see, and a reason why modern WWE fans miss the time when WWE could actually book compelling mid-card storylines.
Go figure.
Eventually, Farouk was turfed out as Rocky became even more of a dickhead as The Rock, and Owen Hart joined in too because...
Yeah. But you know what? His family had left him. he was just lost. He left outside in the rain. They had to go get that boy.
Why not? Number 8, The New Day.
Wow. Oh, look. There's another black faction at the bottom. Goddamn.
But you know what's funny, though? The New Day was actually supposed to be a new version of the Nation of Domination.
They were supposed to come out militant. I remember that. But the thing is, around that time, we're dealing with Trayvon Martin.
Right.
Black people are already pissed off. Y'all finna give them somebody to look forward to on wrestling that's just
right.
Yeah, nah, blood.
Boy.
Exactly.
What could have been, though?
Right. So, wait a minute. Number 9 and number 8 are the black ones.
Go figure.
So this list just said, let's hurry up and get these niggas out the way.
Right. Expeditiously.
Speaking of the Nation of Domination,
Quick fast too.
remember when the New Day formed and everyone went, ooh, New Nation? Could hardly have panned out more different, could it? The team of Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Kingston were slow starters, with their generic preacher face shtick as popular as month-old milk. It was when the trio turned heel, embraced their obnoxious, ridiculous side, and
You go, girl.
harnessed the power of positivity that New Day went gangbusters. Eventually, people could not get enough of them, or their trombones, cereal, pancakes, Final Fantasy references, and whatever else they came out with.
Hold up, they didn't show when they came out the cereal box dressed as Saiyans though.
They kind of did with Xavier for a hot second.
That was my favorite one, man. They was at a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
they turned over the cereal box and they came out. They were all dressed like Saiyans with the fucking armor and shit.
Shout out Xavier Woods, man. Huge gamer and anime fan.
Oh, absolutely. He's one of those ones that's bringing it to the mainstream one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And he can play Tekken.
Yeah. Now, see, that's the thing we was talking about as far as anime getting as mainstream as it is now. Because, like we said, back when we were growing up, it wasn't like that.
Oh, it was very underground back when we was growing up. You had to know somebody with a tape. I still have not seen all of Trigun because the tape I borrowed was actually part 3.
Wow.
Right. Look at this dude right here. Were Bootio's even good? I'm not eating anything with the word Bootio on it, so the world may never know.
Right. I never got a chance to try them, so there's that.
There's that.
Everything New
There it is.
There
Day did got over and made a ton of money. Inside the ring, the trio became record-breaking tag team champions, surpassing Demolition's reign of 478 days, a record that stood for nearly 30 years, as well as record 7-time SmackDown tag champs. But the group's greatest triumph came away from the tag scene as Kofi Mania swept through WWE in 2019. When Kingston finally got his hands on the WWE title at WrestleMania, it was a genuinely heartwarming moment, one that few thought they would ever see. Roster moves have cast doubt on the New Day's future, with Big E being groomed for a singles run, but you know that wherever they're plying their trade, audiences will always clap their hands and feel the power.
Here's the thing. I actually saw them on Table. You remember the show Table of 3 on the network?
Yeah.
Those guys are actually friends in real life.
Yeah.
Like, go to each other's houses. My wife knows his wife. They be kicking good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're actually friends. So even outside of this gimmick, I like the fact that when Kofi got his solo run, they stuck with him. You know what I'm saying? It didn't break up the New Day.
Right.
And truthfully, you know, they were talking about it on Table of 3 how the New Day may never break up because it's like nobody's got that hunger for ambition like what normally breaks up good groups.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And you know, funny story is like that Kofi Mania run, that was actually supposed to be Mustafa Ali's run before he got hurt.
Interesting. Yep.
There you go.
He's the reason I drink, yo.
Adult supervision needed at all times.
All day, every day. While we had the big shots out the goddamn shells. The trash day. God damn it. Isn't that Friday?
7, the Ministry.
At 7?
Wow. This list is getting interesting.
I just keep watching. I figure, I'm going to be honest, this should have been 2.
Yeah.
In my book. In my book, this should have definitely been 2. But I digress.
Of Darkness. Out of all of The Undertaker's guises, none were more utterly unhinged than his reign as the Lord of Darkness. Attempted embalmings, abductions, brainwashings, hangings, crucifixions, nothing was off the table for the demented dead man. He had a lot of the devil's work to do and couldn't get it done on his own. No sir, that is where the Ministry came in. Taker and Paul Bearer wasted no time in assembling a motley crew of spooky lads to aid them in their work. They took the recently formed acolytes Farouk and Bradshaw, brainwashed Phineas Godwin and Mabel and turned them into Midian and Viscera, and enlisted the services of Gangrel, Edge, and Christian the Brood. The Ministry was cool, there is no doubt about it. And as they gained numbers, they set about taking the
And see, one of the reasons why I really love this faction so much is because this was the Undertaker that was on what was that, WrestleMania 2000?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the whole ministry was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn video games. What a time to be alive.
Man.
WWE by force, clashing with Steve Austin and Kane, then setting their sights on Vince McMahon and his corporation. Then it all unraveled when the two forces fused as the corporate ministry and Vince gurned like a whippet on ecstasy. A crap ending to a genuinely intriguing storyline.
What I told you, a crap ending.
Yeah.
Shit was fucking garbage.
Higher power aside, the ministry was a little cartoonish at times, but they had credibility and were one of the most compelling stories on television for the time that they were united in their malevolence. Number 6, The Shield.
So, wait a minute. The Shield goes over the Ministry of Darkness, the New Day, and the Nation. The Shield is above them.
Roman Reigns.
09er. This got to be a 09. Everything is the 09. Everything is the 09ers' fault. This list was obviously made by a casual. Goddamn.
Yeah. The other two lists were good, but this one, this don't turn the top. What is going on here?
Man, look, whoever made this list, they weenie goddamn.
Sausages, horse, Ian, Lego, denial. The spine-tingling call heralding the Shield to come through the crowd and wreck house was unforgettable.
He totally fucked that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He totally dropped the ball.
Gettable. Originally starting life as CM Punk's hired goons, the Shield quickly took on a life of its own due to their no-nonsense attitude and for the fact that they were genuinely cool. You had the jaw-dropping in-ring skills of Seth Rollins, the hulking brawn of Roman Reigns, and the feral unpredictability of Dean Ambrose, all packaged in lovely little black flak jackets. Before long, they were putting on stellar matches, winning titles, and being effectively pushed, going toe-to-toe with the likes of Daniel Bryan, Kane, and the Wyatt family. And they did it all without a designated leader or an established star in their ranks. The lasting impact of the Shield is still felt to this day, mainly due to the way it launched the main event careers of all three men, who between them have over 10 world championship runs across WWE and AEW, with plenty more to come, I'm sure. Even one-time only members like Kurt Angle and Triple H are former world champions, making the Shield one of the only groups in wrestling history where every single member involved has held a world championship. Number 5, the Hart Foundation.
Really? Really?
I'm gonna be honest. If we said DX at 1, Ministry of Darkness at 2, Hart Foundation should have been closer to 3, if not 2. Honestly.
This list is still interesting.
Interesting. It's getting more interesting by the minute.
Very.
For all that we talk about the incredible double turn of Bret Hart and Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13, we tend to focus more on Austin's subsequent run as the face of WWE than we do about moaning Bret fully embracing his heel side. Hitman is the
heel Bret, GOAT.
Yeah.
Definitely top tier.
Yeah. That faction was definitely underrated.
Right. That faction was ghetto gold. Even though I didn't like him at the time because I was Team Austin all day.
Yeah.
But no, Bret as a heel, yeah, he carried that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Veteran not feeling respect and snapping as times were passing him by was amazing and quietly the best work of his career. But every good villain needs backup, and with Owen Hart, Jim Neidhart, the British Bulldog, and Brian Pillman by his side, you were looking at one of the most well-rounded groups in wrestling history. The thing that made the Hart Foundation so good was that you believed everything they said, and dependent on where they were in the world, they were either the most despicable, hated jerks to walk the earth, or conquering heroes who
yes, anytime they did a show in Canada, it was just like they lost it.
Man.
Spoke the truth and deserved respect. In ring, they cleaned up well, winning every title available to them in WWE at the time, and main eventing the much-loved In Your House Canadian Stampede against Austin, Shamrock, Goldust, and the LOD.
I remember that.
This incarnation of the Hart Foundation only lasted a few months, but in that time they made sure that all eyes were on them and greatly improved the quality of WWE television. Number 4, the Corporation. Mr. McMahon is an absolute bastard. A power-mad, almost anti-Christ-like figure pulling all the strings in WWE, he became one of the biggest heels we'd ever seen in his battles against Steve Austin in the late 90s, but time and time again, Austin slapped McMahon silly, prompting Vince to pull his finger out and assemble a crew to do his nefarious bidding. Cue the Corporation. No, not Ted DiBiase's average group, but the one that featured the likes of Ken Shamrock, The Big Show, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chyna, Shane McMahon, and of course, the Mean Street Posse. The Corporation finally gave The Rock the opportunity to truly flex his heel muscles after his amazing work in the Nation of Domination, as the corporate champ held.
See, one thing they leaving out, Triple H and China didn't stay long.
Right.
They actually went back to DX after about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Shout out the Wing Eagle Championship, The Rock holding right there. Hands down, one of the GOAT championships.
Absolutely. You got to think of how much talent wore that belt.
Man.
Yes, indeed.
The WWE title 3 times.
Say it again.
I need one for the collection.
Absolutely.
And cemented himself as a main eventer. Triple H also got properly groomed for his decades-long run atop the WWE with his work in the corporation at a time when he was considered one of the unsung heroes of WWE. Seems almost weird saying that with 2 decades of hindsight, doesn't it? Arguably though, one of the corporation's greatest successes didn't actually involve one of its members, as without them, would Mankind have ever been WWE champion? The aim of any heel stable is to promote the babyface they're warring with, so on that basis alone, job's a good un. Number 3, the Heenan family. In this humble YouTube dickhead's opinion, Bobby Heenan is without question the greatest manager in wrestling history. Conniving, mean-spirited, and sharp as a tack, the Weasel was the perfect mouthpiece to get heels over, as fans paid their hard-earned money to see Heenan and his stooges get their backsides handed to them. His assembled crew of clients, employees, and hangers-on was known as the Family, and wreaked havoc across the AWA, NWA, GCW, and WWE. Although his family in AWA held several major championships, it was his villainous endeavors in WWE that cemented the family's legacy. Paul Orndorff, King Kong Bundy, and Harley Race were some of the names involved as Heenan grew in stature, leading to his greatest acquisition, Andre the Giant. The Brain corrupted uber babyface Andre and was in his corner at WrestleMania 3 during his legendary showdown with Hulk Hogan. The Hulkster emerged victorious, but it only made Heenan scheme more, enlisting Rick Rude and the Brainbusters as he sought to take over WWE, eventually managing world champion Ric Flair. Don't ever call the family a stable though. Like Heenan himself once said, a stable is a place where you keep a bunch of fly-infested horses.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not feeling that at number 2.
Me either.
That could have been 10 actually. Now, of course, the number 1 that we all knew was going to be number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2, D-Generation X.
Number 2.
Are you ready? Now, I can already see the comment section blowing up at D-Generation X being at number 2, but let's be honest, for half of its existence, DX wasn't that great. The Triple H HBK Hornswoggle Let's Pretend We're Still 21 and Sell Some T-Shirts era, and yes, we do have to include it, it's part of the lineage, was just embarrassing. And the Degenerates Without Trips in China in 1999 showed how thin on the ground DX really was. But let's focus on the positives. When DX were good, they were very damn good indeed. The first run with HBK, Hunter, Chyna, and Rick Rude pushed the envelope and was one of the foundation acts of the Attitude Era. Some of it hasn't aged well, but hey, it was a product of its time. And let's not forget DX 2.0 with the New Age.
This the one right here.
Yeah.
This the one that really got there. I mean, and it was X-Pac that really lit the fuse because at the time the NWO was going hard. So it looked like an NWO member defected to DX. Like, damn, and that's one of those things that it turned the tide of the Monday Night Wars. X-Pac, six defecting, become X-Pac. Damn it!
The Monday Night Wars.
What a time to be alive.
Yes, sir.
Outlaws, X-Pac, and a Jeep, not a tank. It was a Jeep. They were the hottest thing since the surface of Venus and inspired millions of kids to get detention by telling their teachers to, well, you know. Again, some of their more boundary-pushing antics have not aged well. X-Pac in blackface. But
Ooh. Speaking of did not age well. God damn. And you know what? Here's the bad part. As a kid watching it, as a teenager watching it,
Mm,
that whole spoof on the nation was fucking hilarious to me.
it was. It
I'm
really
sorry.
was.
I'm sorry. I legit laughed. Like I laughed my ass off. Then it just like you look back, it's like, ooh, Ms. Art Henry, blackface.
Yeah.
Yeah, racism. Mm, about that.
At a time where wrestling was the coolest thing on the tube, there weren't many acts legitimately cooler than DX. Number 1, Evolution. As Triple
I forgot about them.
Interesting. You know what? Since this is a WWE list and they can't put the Horseman on there, we'll just do Horseman version 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I could live with Evolution being one. I think I could live with this one.
H set about getting the world title scene in a chokehold, he realised that he needed the past and future of wrestling to help him assert dominance. And he was also a massive mark for the vintage Four Horsemen. Hence, Evolution. What started as Triple H living out his childhood fantasy of being a horseman became the
They didn't
most
put his
dominant
face on that,
force
did
that
they?
WWE had ever seen, breathing new life into a Ric Flair who had lost his mojo, and most importantly, created two legitimate main eventers in Randy Orton and Batista. They were the perfect heels, no cool cockiness of the NWO or DX, just a gang of four spoil sport ruffians who made it their mission to get booed out of the building and scoop up every title on offer. And they did just that. Hunter had his reign of terror with the big gold belt, Batista and Flair held tag gold, and Orton as Intercontinental Champ was someone you wouldn't tire of slapping. It all eventually fell apart though, but it was for the best. Granted, Orton's first run as world champion was a damp squib, but the payoff to the whole angle when Batista gave his thumbs down was just beautiful. And for all those still bitter about DX being in at number 2, let me end all doubt for you. Between them, the four members of Evolution have 50 world title reigns. Yes, you heard me correctly, 50. That's just obscene.
That is fucking crazy. Like Evolution was number 1. Why didn't I think of that?
I completely forgot about them.
God damn, that's a hell of a list though. That right. So the Hurt Business, no mention.
You know what? No surprise. Another black group.
Right.
Yeah.
Nation of Domination, number 9.
Followed by the New Day.
Followed by the New Day at number 8.
Yeah. You know what? They kind of disappointed me with this. They left out the Undisputed Era.
That was a faction?
Mm-hmm. It was even though it was NXT, still WWE. You had Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong.
Mm.
They had every single belt in NXT.
Oh wow! So they were a dominant faction at that.
Yeah, Adam Cole, to this day, still the longest reigning NXT champion at 433 or 34 days.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
well over a year.
Yeah. It's been done since.
That's crazy, man. But yeah, so damn, Evolution at number 1. I don't know where I'm at with that one. Like I said, in my head, it would have been DX.
Right. That's what I said.
Yeah, man. So, any final thoughts on this one?
You know what? The first two, they were pleasant. The first one was good. The second one, woo. Well,
when they talked about bad stables, they had some bad stables.
Very bad stables on there. This last one, interesting, especially with the last few, the top 5, especially Evolution being number 1. Didn't see that one coming.
When I saw DX at 2, I was confused.
Yeah, I was like, that's number 1. No, then he said number 2. I'm like, really? Well, who the hell is number 1? Evolution. Oh, okay.
I could see that though. I could see that. Interesting enough that the top 2 were both Triple H factions.
Right.
Like Triple H popped up in a few of these lists, like even with the corporation.
Mm-hmm. And the Heenan family being on there,
I get it, but I would not have been upset when they said, "Oh, the Heenan family didn't make the list." I would have been, "Oh, darn."
Right.
Oh heck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how that happened. You know what
Right.
thing I'm glad they didn't include
Was that?
the WWE NWO.
Yeah,
The WWE NWO was ass.
yeah. Let's just pretend that didn't happen.
Never happened.
Never
Nope.
happened.
Nothing after WCW.
Yeah. Where's
Never
that
happened.
that device from Men in Black when you need?
Oh yeah, just kind of hold the joint up. Ugh.
Yeah.
Actually, that's just a pin, but it works
Hmm.
the same. Works the same.
Yeah.
I promise. Never happened. Woo.
Yeah. Just
But
gone.
yeah, man. So this is the first edition of Real Wrestling Talk, but it won't be the last. Now that I got technology and apparently competition as well. So yeah, we'll be doing this. But next week, y'all, make sure y'all are here next week. One is because we will be back on Facebook next week. So now next Friday's show will be right here on YouTube as well as both Facebook channels. So if you do not follow my personal page, make sure you go follow the Dope Enterprise page on Facebook. You do not want to miss it because it is the inaugural. And by inaugural, if you don't know school words, that means first edition of Dope After Dark. Yeah, hold on. Let me go ahead and get the box ready. I probably won't even have the logo up next week, y'all. That's all you're gonna see right there is that little black box in the corner because it's gonna be one of them nights. And besides for DJ Agony, as some surprise guests coming through, guess who else will be here? Don't say that. Shh.
Oh no.
The real
I
Jay Scott, real Jay Scott will be in the building for the inaugural Dope After Dark show. So y'all don't want to miss this.
I will
Yes,
not.
he bakes cakes, but guess what? He raunchy as fuck, y'all. Y'all gonna see next week. I'm telling you, it's going down. Shit is going down next week. So, yo, make sure y'all stay tuned. Jay Scott, you got anything for him before we head out?
Just the same thing as I said earlier in the show or whatnot, man. With Valentine's Day coming up, fellas, make sure you get your cake orders in. Ladies, too, if you want, holler at me on Instagram and Facebook, Corey's Heavenly Cakes. Just let me know what you need, and I got you.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And like I said, be looking out Wednesday for the quick 30 on Facebook. I think I should be back by Wednesday. I know I said Friday for sure, but I might be back by Wednesday. Let me see what the Facebook numbers looking like. But if nothing else, you can see the quick 30 right here on YouTube as well as on the Dope Enterprise page on Instagram. So there's so many ways to watch, so many ways to get in. And like I said, Quick 30 will be coming up next. It's on Wednesday. This week we had to do it on Thursday for some reasons. The shit had to happen how it happened. It's
Right.
whatever though. It's
Hmm.
whatever. God damn it. God damn it.
That's your people's, man.
I love it. I love it, man. And that's reasons like that is why I do what I do and why I love what I do, people. So, yo, quick 30 next Wednesday, Dope After Dark, the inaugural Dope After Dark next Friday. Y'all do not want to miss that.
Uh,
Jay Scott's gonna be in the building.
I will not. I will not.
Anyway, as I end every show, imitation is a sincere form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. I am DJ Agony. That is the real Jay Scott. He's gonna be here next week. And we out. Peace.